Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, That Model Railway Guy, and welcome to another Steam Loco review. And as you can see, this time we're taking a look at Hornby's new Terrier. Yeah, this isn't a completely brand new Loco, but I figured it was worth having a look at it, especially as there's a little bit of controversy surrounding this particular version and the upcoming Rails of Sheffield / Dapple version, which hasn't been released yet, although I suppose it might have been released by the time you see this video. But anyway, I'll get into that a little bit more later on, but for now let's take a look at the actual Loco, and as you can see, my version is Stepney, which of course was made famous by the Bluebell Railway, and of course for making an appearance in Thomas the Tank Engine. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the model. Okay, so here we are. This is the Hornby Terrier number 655 Stepney in Stroudley's improved engine green. But yeah, the livery is a great place to start, and it's been done really well on this, actually. There's really lovely, like, intricate detailing and all these different colours. There's like a white and a red and a black in there, and then green that sort of is all around it. There's a lot going on here, basically, what I'm saying, and that's on all these little wheel splashes here, on the tanks around the side as well, all sort of up the side of the cab. It's really fantastic, and there's this sort of yellow bit that's running along the running board, and of course there's stuff on the front of the buffer beam as well, which is really fantastic. So yeah, this is one of those pre-grouping liveries, a bit like the SECR green that seems to be really popular at the moment, that if you're going to do it, you kind of need to go the full hog and do it properly. And yeah, I think Hornby have done a really good job with this, actually. It looks really impressive, especially considering that this is kind of a budget Loco in some ways. Yeah, so I guess this could be considered the budget version in comparison to the Rails of Sheffield one, which I believe is being marketed as a Pedigree Terrier. So if the Hornby version is a budget Terrier, then what are the shortcomings of it? Well, the first thing I noticed was the buffers. Firstly, they're not sprung. They are metal, but they're not sprung, as you can see there. But the main thing I noticed on the buffers of these was this little ring here, which I believe should be inset into the running board. So rather than just sort of being stuck on the front, it should be inset. Now, the interesting thing here is that on Hornby's old version of the Terrier, this was correct, that it was insetted, and so on a more highly detailed and much more modern Loco, for some reason they've kind of gone backwards in that regard, in that it's just stuck on the front. I'll be honest, when I first saw the images of this online and realised that the buffers weren't recessed, I really thought that that was going to be something that would bother me. But actually, when I got this Loco, yes, it's noticeable when you see it in close-up and when I point it out here, but actually, to be perfectly honest, the vast majority of the time, I don't notice it. And I thought it was something that would really bother me. But that might not be the same for you. You might get one of these thinking that you're not going to notice it that much, and then it really stands out to you. So I can't really make the call for you there, guys, but just know that I thought it was going to be something that I would really notice, and it turns out I didn't as much. Another thing that I've been informed is incorrect with this Loco is that the top of the tank here should have a little recess. And if I just show you a little bit of a high angle here, you can see that it's just completely flat all the way across. Again, though, this is something that I really thought would bother me, and it turned out not to. Yes, it is noticeable when you view the Loco in a real close-up like I am doing now under these cameras and lights and everything, but actually when it's on your layout and it's just running past, you really don't notice it all that much at all. As I've said, though, and I'm sure you're getting sick of me repeating this over and over again, but the top of the tank and the buffers don't really bother me as much as something else that's on the Loco, and that is actually the front of the cab. And if you look at this, because obviously there are so many different versions of the Terrier, Hornby have done lots of different variations in their tooling to allow them to do these Locos at all different points in their lifespan. But one area where they seem to have only done one version of the tooling is the front of the cab, and as you can see, there's lots of little holes all over the front of it, which presumably is for where the pipes would go. I believe it'll be on the A1X versions, or maybe just the BR versions, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, on some of the models, there'll be lots more pipes coming out of the front of the cab. Which obviously is fine for the versions that have all those pipes coming out of, but when you have this version where there's only two pipes coming out, it means that you've got all these sort of holes. It does look a little bit like the front of the cab has been shot with a machine gun. And to be honest, these little holes all over the front of the cab are something that I notice a lot more than, say, the buffers not being recessed or there not being a little lip on the side of the tank. However, I do really like this Loco, and I'm really impressed with what Hornby have managed to do at such a low price point as well. So we've kind of gone through all the negatives, but let's go on to the positives, because there are a lot of positives on this. I mentioned the livery earlier on, that's all fantastic. I don't think I mentioned the wording here, the Stepney wording there, but that's really nicely done, as well as the little 655 there. If we go back to the top of the Loco, you can see these really tiny little intricate, I don't know what they're for, but they're these tiny little intricate pipes and whistles and handrails and everything sort of covering the top of the Loco there, and that's really impressive. And as I mentioned before, different versions have different variations in the pipe work, so some of them have a lot more pipe work that's coming down here, and yeah, it's really fantastic to see. The interior of the cab is really nice on this Loco as well. As you can see, there's lots of levers and plenty of interest and intricate detail going on in there. The windows are just one single piece of glazing over both windows as opposed to individually glazed, but I think that's what Hornby did on their most recent Peckett anyway, so that's what they seem to do with their smaller Locos anyway. And as you can see, if we turn the Loco around, we've also got the Westinghouse pump on the other side, which is also really nicely lined, and yeah, it's great to see that included as well. Okay, so let's see how the Loco runs, and I'll just switch it on now, and as you can see, yep, the wheels are going round very slowly there. It'll do a nice crawl, and I'll just turn it up a little bit. And yeah, nice and smooth. And there's not much noise coming from this Loco at all. It really is, as has been a lot of case with the Hornby Locos I've reviewed so far, it really is just the wheels turning around. The motors themselves are absolutely silent, which is great. And we'll just turn it up even more. And yeah, it's a really, really nice runner. So there we go, that's back down to the lowest setting again. And let's just flip it into reverse. And as you can see, it's the back wheel, which is the driving wheels. So yeah, it's a really nice Loco, this. It looks great, it runs really well. Yes, there's a couple of little minor details that you kind of wish that Hornby had sort of picked up on. I think there will always be people who will prefer the Rails of Sheffield version. But considering the price of this Loco, I think this is a really good, well-detailed model for something that's relatively inexpensive. And, you know, for the vast majority of people, I think this will actually serve the purposes they need. Anyway, that's enough waffle from me. Let's get this down onto the track in Pickwick Yard and get it shunting some wagons around, and we'll see it in action, shall we? And here it is, the wonderful little Hornby Terrier getting to work on Pickwick Yard. This Loco was great up on the rolling road, but it's even smoother and more consistent down on the track. And yes, there's a few minor niggles with this model, but I actually feel like I've been quite harsh in the way I pointed them out, because in the grand scheme of things, they are minor niggles. And as I've repeatedly said, when it's down on the track like this, you really don't notice that much. Will the Rails of Sheffield version be better? Probably. But by how much? Because it's up against stiff competition here, and at a much lower price point. They're marketing it as a Pedigree Terrier, and for the extra £30, it really does have to live up to that and be as close to faultless as possible. As I've said, I'm sure there are plenty of modelers who are going to prefer the Rails of Sheffield Terrier, but honestly, for the average person, I think the Hornby version is great. For me personally, I love Terriers, and I think it's great that we finally have a modern, up-to-date model on the market. With the Hornby RRP set at £80, I think you get a really good looking and smooth running tank engine for your money here, and I can see why they've been so popular. I have to admit, I'm already thinking about getting a second or a third version in different liveries, and with the price these are being sold at, I think there's a very good chance that my wallet may slip at some point. Anyway, that's enough from me, so now it's your turn to let me know in the comments what you think. Do you have a Hornby Terrier, or are you holding out for the Rails of Sheffield version? If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. It really does help me grow this channel, which means I can keep making these fun videos for you all. But for now, that's all guys, so I shall see you in the next video. Bye!